Started. Welcome. Hi, everyone. I actually joked with our provost recently that when we do these, it's a session where you just say welcome for a good 20 seconds before you get started. So go ahead and start putting questions in the chat. So I'll start. I'll introduce myself. I'm Ben Hescott. I'm the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Education and Experience, also a professor here at Khoury College of Computer Sciences. Today, I'm going to walk you through a few individual sort of slides with about 10 of them, hitting on a couple of things with regard to our program, our co-op program, sort of study abroad, and then we're going to just open it up for a conversation, so questions. So go ahead and start putting things in the chat that you want to make sure that we hit on, any individual questions. When you think of a question, go ahead and do it. I can't see the chat while I'm sharing my screen, but I'm going to stop sharing at the end, and we'll go through and we'll walk through all the things that you're interested in chatting with for the next 45 minutes. With that said, I'm going to jump right in and see people are still joining. So for those that are joining, welcome, and go ahead and throw things in the question, and we're going to get started. So let's go ahead. So first and foremost, Khoury is a college. And what do we mean by that? So you'll be looking at other schools, and some of them may be actual colleges, but not many. We're one of the first colleges of computer science. We're big, but it also affords you quite a bit of opportunities. So we've got 2,800 or more and growing undergraduates. In terms of our industry partners, over 500 different industry partners that work with us to employ our students for working experiences in co-op. We're going to talk about co-op in a deep dive. We also have over 100 faculty members. So 100 faculty members in a bunch of different areas with different disciplines that we're going to touch on as well. So again, lots of opportunities in a small college sort of feel. We're one of the, not the largest of the colleges here at Northeastern, but lots of opportunities that you wouldn't normally have. So we're going to jump right in. All right. So why would a student choose Khoury College? So, well, let me tell you a little bit about our students. I'm actually going to tell you a story first. And so one of the things I do is I get to meet students like yourselves that come to campus in my office, but I also meet students that are transferring from other colleges at Northeastern. And I had a student that was sitting across me on my desk, and I asked, if they were about a year into another program, another college at Northeastern, and I asked, why were you interested in switching to computer science now? And his response is, I want to do more creative things, and I want to solve problems. And that's exactly why our students are coming to Khoury. They're interested in solving world problems, they're entrepreneurial, they actually want to do creative things with that foundation of strong analytical thinking. So you've got an opportunity to be able to make an impact in the world, but also sort of get experiences, build a business, and of course, do some programming and some creative things. So that's what our students are here for us to do. We've got a lot of different programs built on a few pillars. So we've got, of course, bachelor's and Bachelor of Arts and Science in computer science. We've got a bachelor's in data science. We have a bachelor's in cybersecurity. I call that sort of our three sort of core pillars. We, of course, have BS and MS programs. We call that the +1 program, so you can stay an additional year. So you'd be a 5th year here at Northeastern and walk away with a master's. If you wanted to try that out, you've got opportunities to be able to sort of enroll in graduate courses. I have students in master's level courses. I have students in PhD courses. But one thing that's amazing with and that makes me so happy all the time, is that we actually have something called a combined degree here at Northeastern. And Khoury participates in quite a few of those. So let me walk you through this infographic. So as I mentioned, we've got 3, and you can see them on our left, 3 of our core disciplines: data science, cybersecurity, and computer science. Students have the opportunity or choice to be able to actually combine one of those degrees with another discipline. And you can see them all here. So you might be interested in business and computer science. That's actually the most popular combined major. What is that combined major? Well, in that example of business, it's 9 classes in one discipline, say computer science, 9 classes in the other discipline, say business, and then an integration course and a capstone experience for 20 courses that have been tailored to those 2 disciplines in a very thoughtful way. So our students that are majoring in CS and business will take different computer science classes than our CS and math majors. Again, these have been completely tailored to the individual disciplines. Somebody that's interested in going in CS and business, we're thinking they're probably going to be a program manager, or they might be a software engineer that wants to actually be in a leadership position. So we're going to make sure that they're taking those computer science and software courses. Someone that's doing a CS in math might be going to graduate school or interested in cryptography, so they're going to take those sort of theory side and more theoretical computer science than just the programming classes. We're a big college, so we've actually got opportunities to concentrate in any of those. Speaking of concentrations, our computer science degree actually has something that's brand new. You'd be the second group doing this. There are concentrations in computer science. So if you're a computer science major, you can actually concentrate in one of 5 areas. So artificial intelligence, that's like if you're interested in computer science and data science, because we don't have combined degrees within the majors. You could actually do software. So you want to do software development. You could do systems. That's interesting if you're interested in cybersecurity, but really want to do computer science. You could do a concentration in systems. There's one in human-centered computing. So if you're really thinking about that user experience, you've got that opportunity. And then something we call foundations. Your concentration in foundations is close to that CS and math combined major. You're interested in going on and getting a PhD in theoretical computer science. So what does this all together mean? Well, it means that we're interdisciplinary. We actually touch all these other different areas. And even with our core degrees, we've got abilities for you to specialize. So again, while we've got nearly 40 potential degrees in our college, you've got opportunities to tailor them specific to what you're interested in. We really believe in that flexible program here at Northeastern. One of the things that in order to support this, we actually need interdisciplinary faculty. And so what do I mean by that? So we've got faculty members that have joint appointments across all the colleges. So we've got Professor To that is joint in KMD looking at CS and game. So if you're interested in CS and game, there's a faculty member that specializes and lives between both of those. We actually, of course, have more game people that are solely within Khoury. And of course, KMD has tons of game people. So you've got that sort of both richness in the 2 different colleges, but then professors that straddle. So it's easy for you to be able to do work and research across the colleges. I'll also mention down there, we've got 2 professors that work jointly with law. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, law, and policy, opportunities to explore that as well. We have lots of opportunities to do undergraduate research, and I'm going to touch on that. But again, looking at that breadth, taking this in, we've got a multitude of degrees, and we've got interdisciplinary faculty to be able to support them. As I mentioned, research, we've got a lot of opportunities for undergraduates to get exposure to research and actually even publish papers in research. So a couple of different levels that I want to kind of walk you through. All of that slide that you just saw, those are research academic faculty members. They're hitting on a bunch of disciplines and of course, core computer science. Here we've got a picture of our robotics lab in ISEC. When it's safe to do so, hopefully you'll see this wonderful lab, absolutely beautiful facility, an entire floor of one of our larger buildings on campus. Ways that undergraduates can get involved. Well, first and foremost, we actually have a class. There's a class to get you exposure to undergraduate research that's 2 credits that our students take. It's free. You add it on, and it's meant to be an add-on for an additional thing, your additional semester. So your normal 4 classes, you can take this as a 5th class easily fits in. Most students do it in their actually in their first year. They take this class so they get an idea of the different areas and professors and their specializations. They're reading research papers. They're actually thinking about ways to be able to extend it in a nice formal setting that it's an easy lift. So you think you might be interested in research, take a 2-credit class, no problem. Coming from that class, you actually have opportunities to do paid work with students. You can do unpaid. We've got directed studies and independent studies. In research, I've got 2 people working on projects off of campus in a research class with me this semester. You also have ways to get paid. So you could do a summer internship or an actual research co-op. We're going to talk about co-op in a minute, but that 6-month work experience that's focusing specifically on research. So I've had multiple students do that here on campus. One of those students, actually wonderful Josh, he's actually at the University of Texas. He was interested in robotics, specifically actually more distributed robotics. So actually looking at those as agents. So not something like this arm, but a sort of less smart, but sort of mote device that be able to communicate and learn something. So something he's actually studying as a PhD in Texas right now. Students do computational biology and research. We've got active programming languages. We've got cybersecurity, many students doing research in that space, cryptography. If you can think of it within computer science, probably somebody is doing it, and an opportunity for you as an undergraduate to get involved in that space. So lots and lots of them. If we don't have it, so one of my students actually did a research co-op at Oxford. You can self-develop it as well. as I'm getting, there's a theme here, right? Flexibility. So not only within your courses, within the ability to do different degrees, with the ability to do research, you're going to see flexibility to choose different careers within co-op, but they're always evolving. So we're making different choices. I talked about those concentrations. That's something that we just built because our students wanted to be able to sort of specialize and say, you know, I did computer science, but I had a real specialization in artificial intelligence. And you can be able to communicate to that to employers and to the outside world. The other thing is that you'll mention, or you'll hear this, you'll get an opportunity to study over the summer. So there's lots of courses over the summer. In particular, our first semester of your first year, your first summer, is something new term that has additional programming. I have over 600 students staying over the first term this particular summer. So lots and lots of opportunities for you to study over the summer. This then affords you the ability to take even more co-ops. So most of our students are doing 4 years too, but opportunities for you to add in a third co-op or potentially do a summer abroad or even a semester abroad. And we'll talk a little bit about abroad in a few minutes. Many of you might be accepted into the NUN program. So again, this is that first year. The program there looks in between. You have got lots of opportunities. Khoury in particular has mostly in London and Boston, but of course that changes, and there's lots of evolving things to keep it flexible in what students are interested in doing. Co-op. So one of the pillars of Northeastern is that experiential learning. So I'm actually on the strategic plan with regard to experiential learning. And so we like to think about it as, you know, students really are the learner is out there, and experiential learning was the learner engages with the world, and that makes an impact on the world. So the learner learns and the world gets an impact for this. And so our students are out there, they're out in the local community, they're out there in the industry in Boston, they're out on the globe doing work. So here we've got our students, one of our particular companies that we've done with is HubSpot. So they can see that's their logo in the background. These are students that are working in that space. They hire about eight a semester. Those students are doing on-the-job things. One of my students actually there now, Kyle had a meeting with me just last week, I think it was, and we were sitting down talking about this, and he was excited about all of the particular code and the computer science that he was learning on the job. But we had a longer conversation about the things that he was learning about the work culture there. And in particular, he was saying, you know, Ben, when I've got a question, what goes in Slack, what goes into the direct message, what goes into the wider group? So he's learning, and of course, even in COVID times, what a work culture would be like, and how do you use people's time appropriately, right? So how do you learn not only to, of course, respect people's time, be able to learn on your own, but to be able to sort of use that as effectively as possible. Some people call those soft skills. I actually think it's very hard to learn things like work culture, but we give students that opportunity to go out there, out in the real world, learn those things that are important, that don't always show up on a resume, but that actually do lead to success later. So co-op gives you that wonderful experience. As I said, it's typically about 6 months. There's a lot of flexibility. Typically starts in July and runs to December you can start as early as your second semester of your second year. So you could actually start in January and go to July, or July going to January. So they're about that 6 months across them. And we'll talk, I'm sure, and have many questions about co-op. And as we saw earlier on the slide, we have over 500 industry partners that we're working with. They're from the smallest to sort of much larger. And just a quick visualization of that, just to give you a sense, some of our partners, right? Amazon's our #1 employer. But you see in here, MITRE. This is actually a research organization. You've got financial students doing the Northeastern logos down there because they're doing research here at Northeastern. Facebook, of course, wants to be our #1 local company. Akamai, Toast, which is actually very popular there. So is TripAdvisor. About 3/4 to 75% of them are sort of in the New England area, but about a third of them are in the wider world. Majority of them in the wider world, of course, they're going to show up in the tech hub, like the Bay Area. So students going off into the Bay Area, and of course to Seattle. But we have co-ops in Singapore. I think there's a few in Japan, and I've had students self-develop them in Finland. So opportunities to do your abroad experience through co-op as well. Speaking of abroad, I just want to quickly mention some opportunities. You might have heard this at other events at Northeastern, but I want to call it out. We've got this Dialogue of Civilization. These are shorter summer experiences with Northeastern faculty. They're about 6 weeks. And the thing that's so great about this is like really what it is. And it's an opportunity for students to go out there in an experiential way, right? So this is 100% like driven by either industry or the culture of the area. So for instance, Students can be able to work in, to go to Australia for software development. You're there with a faculty member who is Australian, using his connections, sort of meeting the people in Google at Australia and talking about their practices and talking about how they're different than they are in the United States. So you get that culture, but within the context, so that context and culture, but within sort of software engineering, if you so choose. You might choose to do a dialogue with civilization that's not related to computer science. Another one that one of my students went on, he actually just graduated or is graduating this May, Daniel. He did one that was on filmmaking and photography in Iceland. And it was an opportunity for him to fill a general education requirement, but also to sort of take some of the most beautiful pictures I've ever seen. Someone in the theater department that does costumes does a fashion in Paris one. And actually it's absolutely fantastic. When I hear her talk about it, I want to go myself. So opportunities to be able to study abroad over the summer, I highly recommend it, absolutely fantastic. And then we actually have study abroad. So we've got a lot of different relationships with this and they're growing every day. I'm evaluating a few different ones, but Khoury in particular has a lot in Budapest, of course. So for those that are interested in mathematics, a lot of great math there. In New Zealand, we've got Hong Kong, and actually not listed here, but our most popular ones are probably in Great Britain. So we've got students that are going on to Ireland and going into Scotland as well. So a lot of different opportunities for our students to study abroad if you're interested. A couple things I wanted to say about the culture in general about our student groups. So Oasis, so some of you may actually sign up for this, but they're going to actually host an event. Some of you might have seen some previous events with Cosmo. Cosmo is our mentorship group. Oasis is our project. Basically, it's facilitating first and second year students that want to get some experience building out projects. They mentor them. They help sort of facilitate and guide you through that. They're part of Sandbox. Sandbox is the little shovel on the right-hand side there. That's our entrepreneurial group. They actually build things and they actually have clients and they go through it. New Wit is our women's group. OSTEM is our out in computer science group, our LGBTQ+. Of course, you see Girls Who Code. Multi is our diversity group. So they're looking at the different diversity issues in this. And of course, you see Data Club and our Hacks group. And of course, Women in Cybersecurity, and ACM is our professional group. So if there's a group that you're interested in that's not here, you can actually build it. So we work with our students to be able to do it. We've got someone on staff that specifically works and mentors all of our student groups. Our security groups actually do grand challenges. So they actually go out and capture the flag and a lot of like this. So lots of wonderful student groups and growing all the time. Just as I was saying, this community. So we've got a couple of things, a generous gift from an alum, the ability for you to actually sort of incubate your own ideas. So we've got the culture there, Girls Who Code. We actually have Women's Community Code. They come on campus. This has actually got Northeastern students and Northeastern professors teaching the women of our community opportunities to be able to learn sort of code. So think Girls Who Code, but for adults. We've got information and presentation. We've got service learning classes. So service learning is in particular. This one is working with the high schools in the Boston area. So you're at class, but you're learning things, then going out and working in that wonderful opportunity and service to the community. And of course, many of our undergraduates TA, I would say actually hundreds and hundreds of them doing that. So that's an opportunity for you to learn. And it's also an opportunity for you to mentor other students. So real wonderful opportunities there. I just want to do a big plug. We actually have a Computer Science LLC. What is this? This is a residence hall for first-year students. It's other Khoury students that are on that particular floor or even the whole dorm. Sometimes we take a whole dorm. There are particular programming for those first-year students that are in that. So for instance, I often hold office hours in that space. So it's in the before times, before COVID. So opportunities for you to engage with faculty members that are actually coming to you and doing that in your dorm. I highly recommend LLCs. A couple things to note, NUN is its own LLC. So NUN students, you are going to be cohorted in that space. Honor students will actually choose between a multitude of LLCs. For everyone else, I would like you to consider joining the Khoury LLC. I'll just full disclosure, if somebody told me when I was 18, hey, you should be in an LLC and be with everyone with your major, I would say, no way, I want to meet other people. You will meet other people, but it is great when you're on the same cadence and you've got the same homework assignments at the same time with everyone, because you automatically have a study partner down in the lounge at all times. So it's absolutely highly recommended. So again, why would you choose Khoury? Again, I think we're a college that affords you a diversity of programs, wide diversity of programs with flexibility. We've got interdisciplinary faculty that do that, and you've got opportunities to do research for that. We have over 500 industry partners. Those are people that we have relationships, whether they're big or small, for you to be able to go out there and get that real world experience. I will leave this last slide up for 2 seconds. Most important thing on this is my name. It's Ben Hescott. For those that joined late, I'm the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Education and Experience. You can contact me anytime. Google will find you. So it's just Ben, and what you really need to know is my last name, Hescott. With that, I'll leave this up for a little bit and start answering things from the Q&A, and then I will stop sharing so you can see my face too. I'm going to jump all around. So there's lots of great questions. Somebody had asked about just sort of, I saw one of them about AI in general, and I saw some NUN questions. Let's talk about, I'm going to go through and do curricular questions first. I'm just going to pop them all around. So the AI program at Khoury. So one thing you can do if you're interested in artificial intelligence, there's a lot of different ways to be interested in artificial intelligence. Broadly, artificial intelligence, I think of machine learning as the broader topic. Some people think of AI as the broader topic. So if you're interested in the robotics side, you could be interested in sort of like, I want to be able to sort of get robots to do things for humans. We've got opportunities in robotics. There's specialization in robotics. There's opportunities to sort of dive into that space. We also have artificial intelligence with regard to sort of computers thinking and behaving like computer science, like humans. So cog sci in there, the opportunities to do that area of concentration. As I mentioned too, we've got machine learning. So there's the data science side of things, and that's using computers to solve world problems. So we've got a whole entire spectrum of artificial intelligence going on at Khoury. It's a hot topic in the area. And as you can imagine, a computer science college as big as us, we have people doing a multitude of these. Some really fun things in vision of faculty members sort of doing, can you detect, given a picture, can you detect family members? Really, really cool stuff. Staying on the curriculum, this is a great question about co-op, but it's somewhat related. I love this. Can CS business combined majors do co-ops in either field? The answer is yes. You could actually choose to do a co-op in something completely different. So you could do a co-op in political science if you wanted. So all co-ops are open to all students, first and foremost. We do see with our combined majors, students actually flip between the two of them. So I had she graduated actually 2 years ago at this point. I miss her so much, Marley. She's in Seattle. She actually did a co-op she was a CS and biology major. She did a co-op with Big Pharma in biology. She did a completely tech co-op in one of them. And then she actually went back and did sort of a data science one that kind of integrated the two of them together. And then finally, she ended up actually doing CS education work. So she's working in a different field still. So lots and lots of opportunities for people to be able to do that. So this is a great question too about combined majors versus the depth of one of the non-combined majors. So I think that's an amazing question. Combined majors really are deep, but they're just deep in a different way. And as I said, they're really tailored. So first and foremost, if you're getting a degree from Khoury, you're going to know how to program. Stop. I mean, period, stop. You'll be able to get a programming type job. It's just a requirement. All of our degrees are going to require algorithms. So you're going to have that algorithmic thinking. And all of our degrees are going to require an advanced programming course. There might be different pathways that you go through there, depending on whether you're data science or you're computer science, but everyone's going to have that sort of higher level software job. It might be that you don't spend all your time thinking about programming or software, not something I do myself anymore, but it is something that you're going to have as a skill set. So right off the bat, everyone's going to have the skills to be able to get employable jobs in that area. You just will. In terms of those kind of combined majors, it's really about your passion. So I've got students that are interested in, like I said, CS and biology. They're really thinking about it from the bio side. I've got other people that are just like, I love biology, I love nature, but I'm really a computer scientist, but I don't want to sacrifice and just do a minors. So you've got people doing running the gamut. The courses themselves have been picked. So for instance, I said CS and business, they don't take theory of computation. That's my area. I often teach that class. That they don't take that because it's really kind of about what computers can't do. And that's not something that's as interesting or appropriate for a CS and business major, but a CS and math major that's really thinking about what does it mean to be a computer and what is the limit is going to be thinking about those kinds of things. So I wouldn't say that you sacrifice, I would say you specialize, and it's just a different specialization. And I know within the question there that was asking about Econ and CS. So CS, and we have our CS and Econ major is something that's very, very popular. You can think about that as building fintech software. So you've got the software side of that, looking at economics, you could be looking at finance, you could be building those particular tools. We've got students that are interested in data science and economics that might be thinking about economics, forecasting and such, and then looking at it from the lens of just the data as opposed to the programming side. And again, I'm just looking through these. This is a great question with regard to the curriculum. Is there a difference between CS and the NUN program and normal CS? The answer is no. It is exactly 100% the same degree and the same experience. Those courses, whether or not you're taking it in London or you're taking it in Boston, look identical. This is something that we care about very much within Khoury because we want to make sure that everyone's got the same experience when they return. So those curriculums are completely and tightly aligned, and we do sort of check for that quite a bit. It's a great, great question. This is a great question too with regard to the curriculum. Are students able to take courses in other colleges without doing a combined major? Yes, and in fact, you will be forced to. So we have general ed requirements here at Northeastern. These are called New Path. Our New Path attributes, I think everyone's got the name down, so I'm going to stop sharing so you can see my face. Hopefully you can see my face. And then now, so one of the questions, I think this is a great question. Can you take classes in another college? Absolutely, 100%. Totally, and in fact, you're going to need to right off the bat. So you'll take your writing classes through the English department in the College of Social Science. You're going to actually take also New Path requirements, I started to say. Those are things like differences in diversity, there's creative expression, there is societies and institutions. You're going to take those, you can take them in a college that is interest to you, but they won't be in Khoury. We don't actually have courses that are in those particular gen ed, and it's kind of by design, to be honest. We want you to be able to kind of experience the other colleges and experience those experts. So for instance, very popular, we've got a tech and human values requirement. Many of the students are going to the College of Social Science and Humanities. There's a diversity in tech that they teach there. There is a, like I said, there's a tech and human values that's actually more like a philosophy course. So lots of opportunities for you to take things in other disciplines. Of course, the biology courses are going to be taught in the biology department, for instance. So lots of opportunities for you to do it, even if you wanted a minor or just wanted to take one class in a different college. And many of our students do. There's an entrepreneurship class and an innovation class in the College of Business that many of our students take out just for fun to get some exposure to those business classes. So students can and do a lot of them. There's a question about the concentration with regard to when do you declare it. You'll declare it after your first year, but you can start thinking about it and talking about it with your advisor from day one. It is something where you don't really need to declare it until your second year, because you can actually spend some time exploring the different concentrations and getting a sense of what that looks like. For instance, for our first year students, I'm hosting an event, I think it's this Thursday night, where I'm going to explain the different concentrations and what classes you might consider doing. So it's really a conversation across your first year, and you make a decision in your second year. And if you change concentrations, not a problem at all. Very easy to change them. Let me just click through this. Does North, let me look through this. Oh, there was a question about dorms. So I mentioned the LLC. The LLC, again, I highly recommend that you all consider joining it. There's a women's LLC, there's an LLC computer science broadly. You can go to either one of those that you're interested in. The women's is a women's dorm, of course. But those can be housed anywhere. We were in Whitehall this past year. We were in Smith Hall the year before. So they move around. And of course, you can choose any other kinds of living. If you're in the honors, you have an honors dorm as well. And NUN has specific housing to whatever program you're in with that space. So there is a lot of flexibility in that, but it isn't specific to any particular major. So we've even got people that aren't majoring in computer science in the Computer Science LLC. Is there any, so I'm going to switch around to co-op for a little bit. There's a couple more quick questions. What's the normal class size ratio? I think that's a great question. So for instance, our programming class, intro programming classes are limited to about 100, 115. So for your incoming class, your programming class would be 115 at a maximum. That's the largest class that we have at all. After that, it drops to about 89 or 87. So, say your second semester or your third semester, that programming class that's popular would be at a maximum of 87. Once you get to a specialized class or an upper level class, those are going to be capped at 50. So for instance, I think I'm back on for theory of computation, and that's capped at 50 students. So it goes to 50 quite quickly. With your discrete structures class, that's the largest one, but that's in a flipped model. So COVID, actually, we realized that rather than having this gigantic lecture hall of 300 or 400 students, we're going to do a flipped model. And with that, you actually have full-time faculty members that actually sometimes me, that are teaching recitations. Those recitations are 20. So you might watch a video that frankly of yours truly doing some particular thing, but then you actually show up in class to do problems. So it is that flipped size, and students are sometimes resistant to it because they're a little bit more work, but the learning is pretty amazing. People have been asking about co-op and combined majors. So I'm going to shift to co-op and we'll come back. And again, I love all these questions. So someone saying about interested in CS and design, that's actually a very popular major. Are there opportunities in user experience? The answer is 100%. So often you see with our co-ops is that while the majority of them might be in the programming side of things, there are ways to do sort of what we call the front end and the back end. And then within that, and I was just meeting with a student, Olivia. She's a second year. She's on her first co-op. She's doing a more research-oriented co-op, but we were just talking about sort of availability, and many of them are around user experience and that sort of front end. It's so important and it's so popular, right? I was like, this is when I've got my hub and I've got my phone, and it's important how we actually interact with these devices. So user experience jobs are plentiful, and many of our students are doing it, and in particular our CS and design students. So I think that's a great question. The answer is 100% yes. Related to computer science and design, since we're on that topic, these two right near each other, you have to be good at art? No. There isn't an art requirement. I will say that KMD does have different programs. So if you're admitted to KMD, I don't know if anybody was admitted to KMD, they do have some sort of portfolio things, but at Khoury, no. And with a combined major, no. The couple other questions. So these interdisciplinary majors that came in, those are the combined majors that we mentioned. I just want to reiterate again for everyone, the combined major is 9 classes in one discipline. Say within Khoury, could be data science, could be cybersecurity, could be computer science. So it's 9 in that discipline. We choose these 9 to match individually what we believe is the best fit. Those 9 then integrate with 9 from the other college, say like biology, economics, business. Then there's one interdisciplinary class. So there's a class that we say that actually is drawing on both sides of the field. And then there's a capstone experience, sometimes a research experience that sort of caps the whole entire thing off in a nice rounded way, in a nice package. And there are co-ops and people can do that. We talked about class sizes. Again, I'm just flipping through this. Thank you, everyone. Are there opportunities for LGBTQ plus students? Absolutely, 100%. So I'm the faculty advisor for OSTEM, believe it or not. And so it's a group where they meet Wednesdays. I haven't actually done anything with them recently, but they're meeting virtually Wednesdays, every Wednesday. We do have a queer student center. So there actually is a broader sort of popular sort of queer area there. We have out faculty members as well that participate in quite a bit of that. So lots of different opportunities for our students in that space. So very friendly. We actually do also have seminars that I sometimes participate in as well, on sort of like being out in the workplace and what does that look like. So when you're thinking about those issues, what does that look like, and what does it look like on co-op? And that's something that we work with our students as well. So lots of support, and it's pretty powerful. Question about the CS and game design program. So CS and game design is what it sounds like. So you'll take game programming classes. So there's game AI, there's game programming. So you can say on the CS side of things, we're going to have that gaming specific, but it will be the back end of the game. So you're going to do the programming of the game. You might do it the design from a computer science design of this sort of sense. There's also game AI. So how do you actually sort of make it so the computer doesn't just win, and what does that look like? And how do you gauge interest in playing the game without sort of making it too hard or too easy? So that's computer science side. On, of course, the KMD side of things, they're really thinking about like that art, and how do you get that and make it engaging for the user. So it's a rich program. It's probably maybe our 4th or 5th most popular sort of combined major. So a lot of students in that space. What are some examples of co-op jobs that CS and business do? That so software engineering program manager are the sort of top two in that space. Working within business, within financial industry is another one that's very popular if you want to sort of blend both of those sides of things, so big business. But again, many of our students that are in that CS and business do go on to work in the tech companies like Facebook and Google as well. Question is, are co-ops mandatory? The answer is no. There is a new path that requires experiential education. So you could do your experiential requirement in a different way. So that could be that service learning class that we talked about, those carry experiential. There could be other courses. So you could do it through a course or some other area or opportunity instead of just doing a co-op. So they are not mandatory at all. I will say that about 95% of our students do at least one co-op. So it is very popular at Khoury, but it is not required. And then most of our students, like as I said before, about 60% of them do about 70% do two co-ops. A few stay on and do the master's and might get a third co-op as well. This is a great question. When's the last year you can add another major? If you had the requirement, you could actually add the major later. There are two different things that I want to make sure people understand. Is I talk about these combined majors. Those are an integrated major. Those are 20 classes and the major is computer science and business. That's the major. If you did two separate majors, like you wanted a separate major in computer science, a separate major in business, that's 20 classes in computer science, 20 in business. So you will probably not, it isn't something that fits naturally into 8 semesters. People do it. I have a student that's actually graduating this year, 1 degree in computer science, 1 degree in theater, but it is 2 degrees, 180 credits. So it will change sort of your time to graduation, most likely. When can you add that last major? If you wanted to add a combined major, anytime that works for you, that you can get it done in time. Obviously earlier is better, just so that we keep you on track for graduation within those 4 years, but you can do it as late as I've seen it done as late as your junior year easily. Can you change around? So the answer is yes. So in fact, many of our students change combined majors. They might do CS and business and they start and they switch to just CS, or sometimes students switch between, as you posed the question here, you can start in CS and psychology and then switch to CS and business or back again. So it's really easy to, really easy to be able to do it. Question about the LLCs, is there a constraint with regard to sort of getting into the LLC? No. In fact, we adapt the size by the request. So you put that request in and we're going to do our best to accommodate you to get into that space. And if we get quite a few students, we just get a bigger dorm is typically how I do it. So again, it varies by size. I would say about 40% of our students, maybe even close to 50, depending on the year, do join the LLC. So they can get quite big. That doesn't mean that it's a more compact or it's going to change your rooms. Rooms are going to be sort of the doubles or singles as they would be anywhere else. Do I think you're at a disadvantage if you don't choose the LLC? No, but I think the LLC does provide advantages. Everything will be available to you. We make sure the programming is available to you, but being at the LLC means that, rather than going to a seminar or doing it like once a semester, you might have access to sort of more information and more people in the actual programming from Khoury. So we work with the LLC to do additional programming. So it's just more opportunities to engage with faculty, more opportunities to engage with other computer science majors. It does not hurt you. How easy to change majors? Let me just talk about that in general. So if you change majors within Khoury, it's just meeting with your advisor and hitting a button. So super easy. Do it any time that makes sense with regard to sort of your graduation and your personal situation. Super easy. If you want to change outside, you want to leave Khoury or come into Khoury, you need to be in good academic standing. Some colleges, in particular engineering, have somewhat stricter requirements, so GPA requirements, but within Khoury and most of the other ones, we're looking at just to make sure that you actually, number one, that you like computer science. We're going to ask that you're going to take the first programming class, but that you're good academic standing. So it's really easy to change majors within the college, trivial. Outside of the college, if you want to change colleges, pretty easy as well, just needs to be in good academic standing. The question asked of every single big school, and I think it's super important, are classes taught by grad students, professors, or TAs? The answer is they're always taught by a professor, so every single one of them all the time. It is rare, but we occasionally do hire a graduate student as a faculty member. They will have to prove that they're a good teacher. So we're talking about this happens like once or twice out of the hundreds and hundreds of classes that we offer at any given time. It's typically going to happen in a special area, a special field, but it is taught by professors. When I talked about those recitations, they're taught by professors. So in that discrete structure. So it's 19, it could be me that's the person that's doing it. So it's full-time faculty members teaching all of the courses all of the time. In rare occasions, there may be a graduate TA that might be the instructor, but they'll be following another faculty member with regard to that. So that's happened once where I had an amazing graduate TA, but they were following me and I was actually running the course in the background. So very, very rare, never happens. Undergraduates, TAs do not teach courses. I do like them teaching. So they are holding office hours. They are doing some amount of grading. They might be running a lab. And I'm going to create a new thing for undergraduates to be able to teach workshops and skills that people can sign up for, but it is not part of the degree requirement. Those are always taught by faculty members. So placement, how do you place out of things? So students that have a lot of math background, in particular in discrete structures, you can actually test out of that class. You cannot test out of our first year programming class. If you're a computer science major, you can, if you have a lot of Java experience, test out of our second semester class. So if you've got a lot of Java experience, you can actually test out of that class. So that can actually speed your, but most everyone, unless you've taken a course at a college that does specifically Dr. Racket and our particular way of teaching concepts within the first semester, you will be in that first semester programming class. If you're a data science major and you're doing the Python route and you've got a lot of Python experience, you can skip that first class. How involved are TAs versus full-time faculty? So full-time faculty have office hours and are running the courses. The undergraduate TAs will actually, because again, we're big, right? Our undergraduate TAs will have office hours at all kinds of times. So one of the ways for us to be able to make sure that students are, you learn by doing in computer science. So that means you're out there, you're programming, you're doing. That means you're going to fall on your face. You're going to get stuck in the thing. That's part of the process. It's fun. It's awesome. But that also means then we have office hours throughout the entire day. So meaning there'll be undergraduates that you can drop in and get help within labs all the time. And that's what's important so that you can actually continue and make progress through your work. So everybody, I would actually argue everyone is involved. You will meet with both faculty members in their office hours and TAs in their office hours. There is there is an entrepreneurship minor. Yes, I believe there is an entrepreneurship minor. I need to double check that because it's not in my college. But I know that the business major actually requires concentrations, and one of them is entrepreneurship. How accessible are professors? Very accessible. So often if Carla were here, so the dean of the college, one of the things that's important, so it's my job, I assign the roles, we assign our best teachers to our intro courses, people that really want to teach and want to be working with first year students so that, when you're moving through this, you've got somebody that's really interested in your success. I did mention earlier, but I think it's worth repeating. Is it easy to switch majors? Absolutely within the college. You talk to your advisor. You're all assigned advisors. You'll have a professional advisor that will work with you, and they will work with you on your success and building out your plan, and they can help you to switch majors within Khoury. Switching out of Khoury, again, easy as well. They connect you with the other college, and then they work on that transition process. Yeah, so this relates to just another question. Thank you very much, which is student advisory. You are assigned. So you will be assigned an advisor at orientation. So over the summer, we will actually go through and start assigning students. Your advisor will reach out as early as, we tend to follow the university guidelines or the regular central guidelines with this, but you'll probably reach out in about July. You'll meet from your advisor. So we have 1 minute left. I'm just kind of going to go through. There's so many questions, and but I want to make sure that we're on time, because we've got enough other things. I just want like so I'll end on this one because I think there's a question, the latest one. And again, feel free to reach out to me individually. Somebody asked about jobs in cybersecurity, because I'm so proud about this. Yes, we have government jobs. In fact, I'm actually doing security clearances for students on a regular basis. Even in COVID time, somebody was in my backyard asking me questions about a student. So we do actually work in the government quite a bit. That relates to the one question I'll end on, is how has COVID affected classes? We are in a mixed model. So you can see I've got like a big gigantic computer here for me to be able to interface with students, be able to whiteboard with them. We do have in-class classes as well. So we call this new flex. So that's a de-densified classes where students are actually on ground one day and then might be virtual another, for us to be able to do that. We are planning 100% on ground in September. So, you know, we follow all the state guidelines, but our classes will be on ground. You will be in the room with me in whatever safe way it is, but they will be on ground. So with that, we have come directly to 2, and they have a hard stop for me. So I want to say thank you very much. Please reach out. There's wonderful questions, wonderful conversation. I know I didn't get to all of them, but hopefully you've got a great sense of Khoury. Again, we are flexible. We're going to meet you where you are, and it's a great place. So please, please, please reach out if you've got anything. I'm Ben Hescott, and I thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.